Hey yo, how's it going with the loyal tribe, the Chico Army? And for those who are new, just a lowly viewer of the tube. You should know by now, but if you don't, I'm the host and this is the Crypto Channel, where every episode is a bubbling explosion. You know our bum after our morning coffee. It's time for Chico Crypto. Explosion? What about BTC this week? Since Monday, the crypto asset has pushed up day after day, from Monday to yesterday, Thursday, from 11,200 to 11,850. Good stuff. Although pulling out the 14-day chart, which I highlighted yesterday, we are still not past the weekly resistance of 12K, which was hit over last weekend. And when we did hit it, a big old explosion, but this time down. Now, the next thing I would like to look at side by side with the 2-week price chart is BitMEX liquidations over the same time period. When Bitcoin jumped past 10K back on July 26th, then all the way back to 11K by the end of the day on July 27th, BitMEX had a good amount of liquidations over that same time period, nearly $185 million in shorts. Now, as we can see, liquidations settled over the next 3 days, yet Bitcoin pumped another 1K from 11K to 12K in that time period. It wasn't until August 1st, once 12K was hit, that liquidations ramped up and big time, but this time in the opposite direction and a whole lot more. It came with that single candle down from 12K to just above 11K. Longs got wrecked by about 174 million notional value. So it's obvious to me BTC is at the whim of the manipulators. They knew passing 10K was a psychological number, which had been defeated more than a few times in the past. Thus, they would have a nice set of shorts in between 10K to 11K to liquidate. Once past 11K and into uncharted trading territory, the shorters they fled, so it's time to slowly pump the markets and get bullish sentiment spreading across the airwaves. That is why not much action and liquidations happened between the 28th and 31st of July. Even though BTC moved up by 1K, no shorters left and they were setting up the big one on August 1st. And it's hilarious to me when you pull out the notional value of the liquidations over the time period, about the same in longs and shorts, even though BTC has been thoroughly bullish, a 25% increase. You would think if this was the normal world, the value of the shorts wouldn't be right on par with the value of the longs. But this isn't the normal world, and there isn't much we can do about it besides not play into the leverage game, especially with 50x, 100x, or even like the Nance, which they offer 125x, because it's a losing battle where the exchanges are the only winners. Although if you want my opinion of the short-term market movements, it goes like this. Since the big drop on August 1st, liquidations have once again been quiet. Not much action on shorts or longs each day, even though we are once again moving up to 12K, like what just happened before. There aren't much shorters left, or they were a lot more careful and used less leverage, thus more wiggle room. But bullish sentiment is once again infecting the markets, so I wouldn't doubt a slight 12K cross here soon, and then possibly another big old dip for a big old taste of long liquidation tears. So short-term manipulation is going to happen, and I don't like it as much as the next guy. That is why I don't even try to mess with the daily to weekly trading. I stick to what I know, and that is how to research and try to understand the blockchains being built by the ever-growing number of crypto and altcoin projects. So Wednesday I spoke of a new one who has hit my list, who has ties to the Polkadot ecosystem, and that's Kadena. And today I would like to go a little further because I brushed over a few things which are big and need covered. So Coinbase listings, they are big, and the process of a Coinbase listing has changed over the years. Coinbase just used to list out of the blue and the coin exploded. Now they put out a blog post first of the assets they are exploring, which usually has coins they might list, and then usually in the near term, within weeks, a coin or two makes it to the Coinbase Pro app and then the regular Coinbase app. But what about the assets they explore and don't list? Are they shat out of luck? Well, I think for a majority of them that yes, it doesn't look good to be on the app in the short term, but there is something special about their September asset exploring announcement of last year, and it includes Kadena, which connects them to Coinbase and increases a likelihood of a listing. So Kadena was explored along with other coins, Solana, Handshake, Near, Celo, and others. The ones who made it through the Coinbase process were Polkadot. They got to step 1, making it to Coinbase custody, but no pro or regular app yet. The only one who made it through the entire thing from custody to pro to the regular app was Orchid. But there is something special about this group they were exploring, and it has to do with something Coinbase just launched, their Rosetta API. The base put out a blog post about it, and this is what it does now. For developers of new blockchain projects, the Rosetta interface makes it easier to ensure compatibility with exchanges that use Rosetta and can dramatically speed up the time it takes exchanges to integrate with new blockchains and protect customer funds by ensuring specific security conditions are met. For the broader community of crypto developers, Rosetta makes it easier to build cross-blockchain applications, such as block explorers, wallets, and dApps. Instead of writing custom parsing for every supported blockchain, applications can use a blockchain project's Rosetta implementation to read on-chain data and construct transactions in a standard format, minimizing code and simplifying maintenance. And who was a project on the same day Coinbase announced Rosetta API, announced they were integrating the API and putting out their own tweet and blog post about it, getting deep into the technicals. Kadena. Now, I said that September announcement was interesting, and it is because it seems to have everything to do with the Rosetta API. Going to the Rosetta from Coinbase website, they list teams building with Rosetta. Now, side by side from the September announcement, Celo on both, Filecoin on both, Coda on both, Near on both. Blockstack was announced being looked at previously, Kadena on both, Ontology previously looked at, Handshake on both, and Saya previously looked at. So if I had to bet my bottom dollar, and that is just a saying, not what I'm gonna do, I would bet that these coins are looking to be added to Coinbase. You may ask yourself why. Well, what does the Rosetta API do for new blockchains? It's a quick, easy solution for them to hook up to an exchange. Coinbase's Chief Product Officer, Surojit Chatterjee, said that in their blog post about the solution. The Rosetta interface makes it easier to ensure compatibility with exchanges that use Rosetta and can dramatically speed up the time it takes exchanges to integrate with new blockchains and protect customer funds by ensuring specific security conditions are met. Like hooking some of these blockchains up to your own exchange, like hooking them up to Pro and the wider Coinbase crypto ecosystem you're attempting to build. So, out of the cryptos working with the Rosetta API, number 1, I think Kadena could be added because they put out the blog post first, a thorough and a very technical one, before any of the other projects. But the others, of course, they should be looked into, and we will get into the ones in a bit who I think have the best chance. But first, a word from the sponsor of this video, Statera, a smart contract-based DeFi token who is looking to make moves in that space. And like always, the full details of our agreement, which came from the project's community, can be found in the description. Now, DeFi and the power of token smart contracts is allowing things to be built that were an afterthought 1 year ago. And Statera combines the two to make their product, which is an Ethereum-powered deflationary token pegged to an index fund of tokens, which right now includes the likes of Chainlink, Bitcoin, Synthetics, and heavy on Ethereum. I'm sure you're like, huh? Deflationary token and smart contracts index fund of crypto tokens? Well, let me try and break it down as easy as possible and begin with the most simple thing, the deflation. So 1% of a transaction is burned and thrown into the abyss each time. Although I'm sure you have heard of that from other projects, but the way it happens with Statera is unlike any of the projects you have seen. The 1% of a transaction deflation occurs with Statera through a combination of liquidity pools where it's reinforced from both Uniswap and a new one making waves in the DeFi space, Balancer, who ironically Coinbase was exploring adding in their most recent addition post just last week. Now STA, the token, is just the normal time-tested exchange-ready ERC20 with deflation coded into its core. To get STA, you need to buy it off an exchange like Uniswap, but for each purchase, buy, sell, transfer, or smart contract call, 1% of that transaction is burned. Now here's where the liquidity pools come in. STA is a way of bringing deflation into liquidity pools like smart contracts to Uniswap and then Balancer, where the index fund resides. First, they have their own Uniswap pool liquidity token called the Statera Delta token, which is a wrap token consisting of two assets, STA and Ethereum, a 50-50 split enforced by smart contracts. It's a simple index fund of sorts where you have 50% exposure to Ethereum and 50% exposure to the deflationary STA. This Delta token is highly important as it's a gateway to the cream of the crop of their product, the Balancer liquidity pools and index fund that resides in it. So another liquidity pool within Balancer, and it's called their Phoenix fund. But the thing about Balancer is it's a programmable liquidity pool, which can balance funds based on weight. The weight of Statera's Balancer fund is 40% Statera's Delta token, 30% Ethereum, 10% wrapped Bitcoin, 10% Chainlink, and 10% synthetics. So a quick explainer of what happens here is when Statera is going down the fund, it needs to be rebalanced, which is automatically done with Balancer's smart contract portfolio manager. Since the weight is heavy on Statera's Delta, a ton of buying and selling is being done on the external markets, utilizing arbitrage opportunities, including the Uniswap Delta pool. Thus, STA is being burned as the fund is rebalanced. And the same goes with STA going up. The fund is always putting deflationary pressure on the price. Combined, this all makes up the Statera ecosystem so far. And as you can see, the Delta Uniswap liquidity token is an integral piece to it all. But one thing we haven't mentioned is they do have the Delta token pool, which is a pool made up of 25% Delta token and 75% Ethereum, giving you more exposure to Ethereum and smaller exposure to STA. And this piece will be put into other index products soon, increasing the deflationary token reach further than just their ecosystem. Now it's time to figure out from those projects involved with Coinbase's Rosetta who could be added to the exchange in the future besides who I think my number one pick, Kadena. Well, out of the Rosetta list, there is one that is oh so obvious. It's Celo, because that coin is from none other than Coinbase's best friend, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z. They put out a detailed blog post about it, explaining why they are funding it. Then, just in March of this year, Celo announced an alliance as a competitor to Libra, and from the TechCrunch article that covered it, they said, the Alliance for Prosperity includes Andreessen Horowitz, which funded Celo, Coinbase Ventures, Bison Trails, Anchorage, and Mercy Corps. Looking good for Celo, but as a Libra competitor, that could take some time to get regulatory clarity. So what else could A16Z have their hands on, which was also on the Rosetta list? Actually, a few of them. A16Z has their crypto portfolio open to the public. On it is of course Celo, but also the one who made it all the way through Coinbase, Orchid. But then next to each other is Filecoin and Handshake, but also Near. So these are the coins to keep an eye on for the next listing in my opinion. Those connected to the base in A16Z and those implementing Rosetta because it has to do with connecting blockchains to exchanges. Kadena, Celo, Handshake, Filecoin, or Near. Cheers viewers, I'll see you next time.